Hello and welcome to Cycles of Time, your weekly guide to what's happening on Earth as we make our revolutionary journey around the sun. For time immemorial, our human ancestors have created myths and meanings to help us adapt and thrive as seasons change. Join me each week to explore the intersections of these ancient cycles, from the indigenous medicine wheel to the pagan wheel of the year, the Babylonian and Greek zodiac to the I Ching, the ancient Chinese book of changes. I'm your host, Alison Dale, and this is the Cycles of Time podcast. Hey there, loves. Welcome to the Cycles of Time podcast and to the last week of 2024. This is your weekly forecast for December 23rd to December 29th, 2024. And then we just have a couple more days left before 2025 arrives. So this episode is called Joy to the World, the end of 2024 has come. And I'm curious how y'all are feeling out there as the end of this Gregorian calendar year comes to an end. Is it giving joy to the world? A new year is around the corner, new beginnings on the horizon? Or are we so scared of 2025 that we'd rather cling on to the current moment as long as we can? It's a pretty tough call these days. I know a lot of people are feeling a lot of ways, and there's a lot of feelings in the air. But I really enjoyed personally celebrating the solstice as my kind of new year and Christmas all wrapped into one. Just the whole holidays, it did it for me. I don't have any elaborate rituals that I do on the solstices or equinoxes, but I make a very deliberate point to get outside into nature, into connection with plants and animals and birds soaring above, and just however I can get deeply connected with the ground and the earth. And this year, my daughter, my partner, and I went out on a nice long hike with the dogs to a beautiful kind of red rock, rainbow rock place here in Santa Fe. And spending a few hours out in the unseasonably warm weather with the azure blue sky above. It really just gave me everything I needed for tapping into the longest night, shortest day. And then I got to join some new friends for a beautiful ritual that was very child-centric. A lot of kids were there, and it was a bunch of farolitos set up in a spiral formation. Farolitos are basically little paper bags filled with sand and a votive candle that are very common here in northern New Mexico. And we all took a little walnut candle, a walnut shell that was filled with wax and a wick, and walked into the center of the spiral one by one and lit our walnut candle off of a star candle. And then placed it in a beautiful bowl of cranberries. So there are little walnuts floating and showing their flames in this bowl of cranberries in the middle of this spiral, and seeing the bowl fill up with more and more light as a symbol of community and a symbol of light in the darkness was just so special. It's so special to celebrate these solstices and equinoxes and turnings of the earth with these ceremonies and song. There was a lot of song and just really, really beautiful tradition that I was really grateful to be invited into. And I'm just so excited to have found a group of people where I live who are intentionally celebrating the Wheel of the Year. It felt super fortuitous and serendipitous to run across a couple of people who were collaborating on this project. So happy solstice to everyone. I hope you had a beautiful, beautiful solstice and kept it simple and quiet and listened to your inner light for the gate of self-love that we were just transiting through during the solstice. So I'm curious how your 2024 has been, everybody who's listening out there. It's hard sometimes to reflect back on an entire year because years feel like so much longer than a single year these days somehow. But it's a good to reflect, I will say. I went to a nice solstice dance ceremony also this year. So I guess I really have been celebrating solstice in a big way. But a friend of mine put on a kind of DJ dance set after some intention setting and some group work, sharing what we wanted to shed and what we wanted to plant seeds for in the upcoming year, and then put that in our pocket, the piece of paper and the intentions that we shared with others, and then danced it out. And so that was a beautiful thing to do. And I think my reflections were just surrendering to the infinite, and not trying to know everything, not trying to always know the answer, because I think it can be so easy in times like these to be grasping all the time to find out what the truth is or what the answer is. And so I, this year, want to shed that need to know in a tangible, linear way, and planting seeds to allow wisdom to come through in ways that I haven't always listened to, like through my body. And I know I speak a lot about that in this podcast, but one of the reasons for doing this podcast at all is just because I'm talking to myself. It's a reminder to myself to listen to the wisdom of the body and listen to the wisdom of the earth and the seasons, and kind of get beyond that, I'm going to go Google it type of mentality. Because I think I'm going to go Google it, or like I'm going to be disappointed if like the government or like X institution is not providing me with answers, and like getting frustrated about that. I think there's a valid alternative. And when we do get stuck in that, like, I want answers from X institution, it can be so easy to like keep your phone by your bed and wake up at 3 a.m. and start scrolling. And I think that was my initial shedding, was like, no more phones in the bed. I'm going to shed that for 2025. But I also believe that there's something beneath that needs to happen for that habit to stick. And it's more of just an acknowledgement that surrendering doesn't mean collapsing, and it doesn't mean giving up. It just means allowing space for more intuitive wisdom to come through when we're not filling our minds up with like wild goose chases and tangents and whatever the media wants to present to us and the algorithm wants to present to us at any given moment. So yeah, 2025, here we come. Surrender. And, my 2024 was filled with many, many, many ups and downs. But ultimately, I felt more forward momentum and groundedness in my life this year than I have in the recent past. At least from 2019 to 2023, 2024 seemed a lot more grounded. And I will think being able to do this podcast and being able to consider the micro season of the year every week as a big part of why I feel a lot more grounded. Because it's been the consistent thing. Haven't missed an episode yet. So thank you for being here along for the ride, and I hope you do continue to stick around as we go deeper and carry onward in the spiral. So 2024, I just wanted to reflect a little bit about the kind of archetypical universal archetype through the lens of both the tarot and the Chinese zodiac. Because I really like combining systems and creating like characters or embodied representations of these. And I think the tarot and the Chinese zodiac as annual representations have very clear and distinct visuals that go along with them. So basically in the tarot, strength was the universal card for 2024. And this is because it's a numerological calculation. It's basically the numbers in 2024, 2024, add up to 8. And strength is the 8th card in most modern tarot decks. So the Strength card represents inner power and the ability to face and overcome challenges, and the emotional strength that can be cultivated in times of adversity. I think that 2024's Strength archetype brought a time to embrace our passions and enjoy every moment and consider also what tempts us. In the Chinese zodiac, 2024 was the year of the wood dragon, and that started at the Lunar New Year last February until the Lunar New Year in February 2025. But the wood dragon kind of aligns with the Strength card in my mind. Wood dragon is associated with leadership and passion and the drive to achieve greatness. And in the Chinese zodiac, dragons are yang creatures. So in the yin-yang polarity, dragons are yang. And they're imaginative and have a natural magnetism that draws others to them. They do also have an intensity and kind of high standards for achievement that can also make them, the dragon creatures, seem overwhelming or impatient. And wood being one of the 5 elements in the Wuxing 5-phase cycle that we talk about here, wood is associated with growth, vitality, spring, and creativity. And the wood element this dragon year really added a sense of flexibility and vision and upward growth and cooperation to the dragon's fiery nature. I feel like the wood represented new beginnings and innovation and the potential for expansion. So if you want, just pause for a minute and consider how the Strength card and the young wood dragon showed up in your life in 2024. I had an image in my mind, and I don't use digital art very much. I don't do digital art very much or use AI hardly ever, but I just really wanted to see what the Strength plus wood dragon would look like. And so I did go to Midjourney and I got a card of this dragon-winged lion, and lion is usually the symbol of the Strength card, and it's kind of like on the moon out in space, and I just thought it was a pretty cool image, so you can look at that at astrosomatics.substack.com, or I'll probably post it on Instagram as well. It just really, evoked a certain energy when you look at a lion dragon, like an upward growing lion dragon. That's like a distinct type of energy. But 2025 is a little bit different, which I love. I love being able to look forward and have this like character for 2025. And basically we're leaving behind the strong wood dragon and welcoming in the hermit wood snake. And we're once again ringing in a year represented by the element wood. So upward growth and innovation are destined to continue forward. But the snake is quite different than the dragon in the Chinese zodiac. Snake is an animal that's associated less with overt power and more with wisdom and intuition and metamorphosis, the shedding its skin all the time, and also being close to the earth. It's a yin-associated energy after the dragon's yang year. And yin, as we know, is associated with the earth and with the ground and with the soil and what's below the ground. So the wood element here brings us in touch with our roots and that growth downward as well as upward, that kind of vertical growth, but going down into the ground. And it also brings us into reverence for the ground that is right beneath our feet, the present moment. In Chinese culture, the snake is admired for its beauty and mystique. And the year of the wood snake is an excellent time for strategic planning as well as personal and spiritual growth. Then if we look to the numerology of the tarot, 2025 is a 9-year to follow that 8-year. And it's associated with the Hermit card, which is exactly what it sounds like. It is a hermit, as opposed to a lion standing upward in strength. The hermit is looking downward, looking inward. It has a lantern to guide its way through the darkness. And The 9 year is also associated with the end of a cycle, with 9 being the final digit in the single digit series, 1 to 9. So the Hermit card and the end of a cycle for 2025 is suggesting a year of introspection, spiritual growth, and seeking inner wisdom, resourcing ourselves from within. And it also represents solitude and the search for deeper meaning, encouraging us to step back from the noise of the world to reflect and recharge and realign with our inner true purpose. The lantern that the Hermit holds symbolizes enlightenment, guiding the way through uncertainty and illuminating truths that might otherwise remain hidden. So I always love the Wendell Berry, I think I share it every single year, but the Wendell Berry poem that says, "To go in the dark with a light is to know the light, and to know the dark, go without sight." And I think that, the Hermit does hold a lantern, so it is bringing a light into the darkness. But I also like to think of the Hermit as kind of going completely dark, turning off that lantern. It has the ability to do that and to just be with the darkness, be with that stillness and inner space. So 2025 has the energy to inspire us both as individuals and collectively to pause a bit and reconsider priorities and seek answers, really gain clarity from within. It's a time to trust your inner compass and embrace self-discovery and recognize that clarity often emerges in moments of quiet retreat. This card, the Hermit, reminds us that true guidance and wisdom are found not externally, but through connecting with that light within. And, I spoke a lot about that for the solstice gate of self-love, and it kind of continues on through this week as well. The vibes of the Hermit wood snake for 2025 are similar to the energies of the human design gate that Pluto is entering as well in January 2025. Kind of starting the human design new year and the Pluto return in human design. And so it's been in this gate. Pluto has been in a gate that connects Capricorn to Aquarius. And now in late January 2025, it's entering the first full gate of Aquarius season. And I did write an article about this, kind of a bonus transmission that I sent out last week on Substack. So if you'd like to read that and you're not on Substack, you can always follow me there at astrosomatics.substack.com. And it was just kind of a deep dive into Pluto's transit through the lens of human design and the I Ching as it enters Aquarius. But this first full gate is known as the Gate of Contraction. And it's encouraging us to go inward and hermit a bit, gathering our resources as well over the next few years. So this Hermit of 2025 kind of, seeds that idea that might last for a little bit longer as well in this other system of thought. So, I'm sure there will be no shortage of excitement in 2025, but all of the archetypical signs from lots of different systems and esoteric traditions are pointing to a very different energy from 2024. So we do enter the year with Mars still retrograde in Leo and entering into Cancer, an even more inward-focused sign. And Mars is squaring off with Pluto on January 2nd. So if my current tiredness is any indication, I will be ready to embrace the Hermit as the ball drops this year, for sure. And yeah, definitely don't have any plans to jolt myself with too much more energy, just kind of leaning into this being the norm, inner resourcing. But anyway, enough speculation. Thank you for indulging my combination synthesis of the tarot and numerology and the Chinese zodiac. Check out those images. I think they're just really cool. I love the one of the hermit with the snake sitting out in the darkness. They just go together so nicely. But anyway, let's zoom back in from the whole year to this week and our final week of 2024. And this joy of the holiday season. Like, I kind of anticipate to have a lot less listeners this week because I hope everybody's turning off their internets a little bit and really connecting with your loved ones and yourselves and just the sensual twinkly lights of the season and the food, of course, the food and drink. Yes, all of these things. But if you are listening, hi, welcome here. I'm happy to have you. And the joy of this holiday season is correlated really nicely with where the sun is transiting through in the human design wheel of the year this week. And it is called Gate 58, the gate of vitality. And it's also known as the gate of joy. So I really love the song Joy to the World. I think it's a beautiful song, and I sing it with different lyrics than The Lord Has Come. I think The Sun Has Come as a solstice song. Like the sun is back and the days are getting longer. That speaks to me a little bit more. But however you sing it and however you know Joy to the World, it's a good blessing to offer. So vitality, be in our vitality this week. So this week's highlights, we have all of the Joy to the World holidays this week. Christmas is Wednesday, December 25th. Hanukkah is Wednesday, December 25th through Thursday, January 2nd, 2025. Kwanzaa is Thursday, December 26th through Wednesday, January 1st, 2025. And so however you're celebrating, merry, merry, happy, happy, joy, joy. Happy, happy, joy, joy to you. To bring back a little Ren and Stimpy for those of you old enough to remember the gross cartoon. Human design and I Ching are bringing the gate of self-love to a close. It was gate 10 that we transited through last week through the solstice, and that is wrapping up on Monday, December 23rd. And then Tuesday, December 24th through Monday, December 30th, we're transiting through the gate of vitality or joy, and that is gate 58. And of course, it is our first full week of Capricorn season. Happy birthday season to all you Capricorns out there listening. And if anybody is listening and is a Capricorn and would like to be interviewed for the podcast or have a little mini reading on air as I do season to season, my Capricorn guest fell through and I'm having a little bit of trouble finding another Capricorn sun or strong Capricorn placement to talk about their birthday season. So if you're out there listening, shoot me a DM on Instagram at astrosomatics or Cycles of Time podcast, or you can email me at AlisonMarieDale@gmail.com. And I would love to hear from you, or just comment, or, however you want to reach out. But I would love to do my interviews as I've done one per season. And I'm just still looking for that right person to bring on the show. So let me know if that's you. This Capricorn season, I have a few other writings coming out. The body and the life cycle that I mentioned, which I will link to in the Substack and that I've cross-posted on Substack. You can read more about that view of Capricorn season. And then also with the Storywork Studio Inner Circle, which is a free community group, I am doing the lunar rites of Capricorn season, and that's something that I will put a link to on Substack as well and in the show notes. That is a free community that you can join. It's a Substack community as well that I am writing a monthly transmission in collaboration with Daje of the Storywork Studio to look at each of the lunar cycles of the season of Capricorn ahead. So it's a fun way to really dig your feet into the material. So I won't talk too much about Capricorn here, but there's lots more out there as far as resources to look at the sign as a whole. This week we'll tap into the gate of joy and vitality, and as usual, I do believe that these human design and I Ching gates are very, very relevant to the zodiac sign as well. The parallels between them based on the relationship that ancient humans had to the seasons and to the earth really shine through to me. And I know that that's not necessarily like a given fact within the systems. I'm kind of merging and synthesizing systems here, as many of you listeners are aware. So, I won't apologize for it, but I do just want to reiterate that I do see such beauty in looking at them, the systems and of thought through synthetic, or not synthetic, but syncretistic kind of point of view, to see how they pull out information from one another and kind of create a new vision as well. So this week's themes, in light of all that, are keep on loving yourself, and you can start by accepting yourself for exactly who you are today, not who you wish you could be tomorrow. And that's just, finishing out the gate of self-love with a bang on Monday. And then, we move from that gate into a new gate on Tuesday through the rest of the week, the gate of joy and vitality. And this is a little bit more about recognizing that there is no shame in feeling joy and satisfaction through making improvements. We're coming up to the reflective end of the year where there's a lot of resolution talk and that kind of thing. And so I think there's like resolution people and anti-resolution people that are like, I don't do that. This is not the time of year I want to be resolving to do anything. I just want to rest and sleep. And so I think this week really carries both energies of like, you are totally okay exactly where you are without making any changes. And there's also there isn't shame in making a resolution. If it feels right to you, like as you go inward and as you get still, or as you're around family or friends, and a lot can come to the surface this time of year. So definitely make improvements and dedications for improvements if you want. And what I would suggest with that, through the wisdom of the I Ching, is keeping your refining vision focused on the greater good, including the bigger picture and all of that, instead of narrowing your sight to your perceived flaws or the perceived flaws of those close to you. I think it's really easy to think about resolutions and just be like, what's wrong with me and how do I need to fix it? But that can get a little bit spiralic, downward spiral kind of vibe. So I'd say keep your chin up as you make these resolutions and keep looking up to the sky and around you at the greater world. The final theme of this week is joy isn't something you find, it's something that you create. So in the wheel of the year, we are in the medicine wheel direction north. And at the very top of the wheel, just edging past the very top of the wheel, and Symbolic Studies, who is a really wonderful Instagram account that I follow, just posted a really nice video that I'll share as well about the north, the direction north, and the North Pole, and how north represents midnight on a clock, and that there's midnight mass in Catholic culture, Christian cultures on Christmas, and there's a lot of associations with the north in this deep winter time of year. So it was pretty fascinating video. They do really great work. But we are there in the north, in the realm of wind and elderhood and spiritual wisdom. We're in the whooshing element water still through the winter, this yinest of yin, fluidic states of receptivity. We are in the pagan season of Yule. We just celebrated Yule on the solstice. In the zodiac, we're in Capricorn from December 21st to January 21st. And we're still in a waning phase of the moon because the new moon is going to be on Monday, December 30th. So that's a new moon in Capricorn to ring in the end of the year. And I'll talk more about that next week. And then again, I Ching, hexagram, and human design gate. We are in gate 10 on Monday, the gate of self-love, known as heaven over lake or small steps in the I Ching. And then for the rest of the week, Tuesday through next Monday, we're in gate 58, which is lake over lake, the double hexagram. And it's known as joyousness in the I Ching, or the gate of vitality in human design. One other Instagram post that I've shared this week is the 6 human design gates of Capricorn season. I really love doing these because it's like this preview overview of each week's micro seasons throughout the next month as we go through 6 gates within a zodiac season. And I love the story arc that they tell when you look at them kind of just bit by bit in this natural order. And so I did write a post about that, and I really feel like the gates of Capricorn season, I can just list them off real quick. They are self-love, that brings us from Sagittarius into Capricorn, then the gate of vitality or joyousness, then we move into the gate of the fighter, then the gate of drive, then we enter the gate of mystery, and finally, the gate of acceptance transitions us from Capricorn into Aquarius season. So self-love, vitality, the fighter, drive, mystery, and acceptance. To me, it seems like within Capricorn season, there are 3 distinct phases, and the Capricorn is the sea goat. It's half goat, half fish. And I really see the first couple of gates coming out of Sagittarius season that are all about like really profound self-awareness, and also awareness that we are an integral part of the greater good and a part of the greater collective, and we can't separate ourselves out from that, but we are sovereign beings. And so self-love and vitality or joyousness both evoke getting to a place at this deep depth of winter where we are really aware of our sovereign selves within the greater picture. And that to me seems like the fishtail part of Capricorn, if we're going to split it up a little bit. It seems like, the fish being a Pisces symbol. Pisces is all about merging and surrendering and kind of recognizing our oneness with the greater whole. And so the fishtail part of Capricorn, I feel like, is that recognizing of our own selfhood and loving ourselves and our sovereign beingness through the fact that we are looking at the rest of the world. We're willing to engage with the rest of the world, because Capricorn is a sign that is very much interested in the rest of the world and climbing the mountain and seeing the whole thing, the big picture. And so these first 2 gates are a beautiful time to like really sink into that quietude, and also the celebration of the holidays, and just see how we're not alone, and that we can love ourselves in our fullness this way. Then, January 1st or December 31st starts the gate of the fighter. And then from January 6th to 10th is the gate of drive. And the fighter and drive, those seem so Capricorn to me. Like they're so obviously Capricorn, just like we are going to persevere against any opposition. We are going to hold ourselves in high honor and aspire to climb to the top of the mountain. The mountain goat shows up really strong in this middle part of Capricorn season, and is just like, we're going to make things better. We're going to improve. We're going to work, and we're going to see what needs fixing, and we're going to fix it, and we're going to fight for what we believe in and what's right. And so, goat, GOAT, showing up in the beginning of January real hard, which kind of lines up with the Gregorian New Year being January 1st. It shows that is actually, through the I Ching wheel, a really good time to think about what we care about deeply and what we're willing to fight for, and what our ambitions and aspirations are. So, not a bad time to start a resolution if you want to line it up with this. So mid-January, the 11th through 16th, we then enter the gate of mystery, which is a cool gate of Capricorn season, because I see it as like the sea goat has swum around the mountain base, like climbed up onto land, gone all the way from the depths of the sea, then all the way to the top of the mountain with that drive and fight. And then it reaches the top of the mountain, and it's this like gate of gate of mystery is there, where it's all about like finding inspiration through recognizing that like, oh, hey, I'm at the top of this mountain, and now what? There's a million other mountains out there out to the horizon surrounding me in this whole wide world. And there's the sky above, the deep night sky and the beautiful sunsets, and there's just a lot of mystery. And so it's recognizing that although we've worked so hard to get where we are, there's still a lot of mystery surrounding us once we reach that peak. And then the final gate of Capricorn and getting us into Aquarius is the gate of acceptance, known as limitation in the I Ching. And it's about recognizing, like, okay, from this mountain peak where I stand that I've worked so hard to get to, like, I can't quite reach all of those other mountaintops yet. I'm not quite connected to the rest of the larger world, but I've gotten to the top of my own mountain. And it's accepting that. It's accepting limitations that we always have some kind of self-imposed limitation, or a limitation just that is through our environment or through other people. And in accepting that, we can then see how confinement to a specific space allows us to be an expert in that space and to really know it before we start to interconnect in a deeper way that Aquarius season is all about. It's all about using technology and thinking about the future and intersecting with other walks of life and greater humanity. So that is the 6 gates of Capricorn season. Thanks for hearing my story arc ramble. I'd love to hear how you relate, or if you have any of those gates in your human design body graph. We'll talk about it as we go. I personally don't have any Capricorn gates. I have a ton of Sagittarius, and almost every one was defined last month for me. So I was just like, whoa, whoa, whoa. And now I'm like, I'm going to take a little moment and like not be as personal about it. So, but again, I'd love to hear how these show up for you and how this story resonates with you. So starting out Monday, we're wrapping up the gate of self-love. And I again hope that you just shared your love with yourself on the solstice, and as you celebrated Yule, and as you look forward to celebrating the holidays, like, let your heart feel warm, however you want to do that. I hope that and wish that for everyone in the smallest of ways, even though it's been a hard year, just finding a moment of warmth by the fire. Now that I know that the solstice always falls during the sun's transit through the gate of self-love, and I've made that connection between the solstice and the gate of self-love, I don't think I'll ever be able to look at the shortest day in the same way. To me now, winter solstice will equal the time of shining our inner light out into the darkness and daring to love our authentic and natural selves without shame and also without self-obsession. And there's always been hints of that in the solstice. And it's been about getting quiet, but just like, I love the idea of bringing love into it. It just feels good. So for me, how I showed myself love was over the past week was letting myself be slow and like taking my sweet ass time doing my daily tasks like laundry and dog walks and cooking, like chopping vegetables, just like did everything a lot slower than I usually do. Not trying to rush to the next thing, even though my to-do list was like quite long with all the presents to wrap and the meals to plan and everything. But by doing slow, I generally felt a lot more compassion for myself this last week, rather than looking at myself as something that needed to be improved upon. So that was how I took the assignment. How did you show your self-love over the past week? I'd love to know in the comments, or how you tend to show your self-love if you're feeling like that's an assignment. I'm also currently in a group coaching session with my friend and astrologer, Britton LaRue, that's called Underdog to Diva, where a group of entrepreneurs is working through the lens of unshaming the signs of the zodiac in relationship to our businesses and our creative projects. And I love Britton's content and thought process on unshaming the signs. And over the past week, I found myself thinking a lot about what it actually means to unshame something. I saw an Instagram reel that looks at the stages of consciousness developed by David Hawkins. And it said that when we look at different emotions through the lens of love, we can see that some of the more quote unquote negative emotions or harder emotions are just love crying out for something. And the lowest stage on his pyramid of feelings, he has this kind of hierarchy of different human emotions. And the lowest one was shame. And the way it was framed through this context of love was shame is love crying out for acceptance. And then above that was guilt is love crying out for forgiveness. And then apathy and grief are love crying out for remembrance. And I really loved this. I just really thought this was a beautiful way to see shame, just love crying out for acceptance, because I was thinking last week over how I could better show myself a true self-love and not just kind of placating myself or pretending. But I knew that self-love starts with giving myself and my inner child a big hug, especially when I'm just looking for acceptance. It's kind of like being in that moment with your own self and accepting where you are. I think that the simplest things can be the most profound, right? But lately in a lot of astrology readings that I've done for others, I've looked at the North Node as a place in the birth chart where shame and judgment deeply prevent us from going after what we're longing for. So the North Node is this place in the chart. It's a lunar placement, and it's across the sky from the South Node. And like the South Node is where we feel comfortable and generally accept ourselves, I feel. And then the North Node on the other side of the sky is like what we're hungry for in this life, but oftentimes find it hard to access, especially in like the first half of our lives. It's like kind of seems like it's an arm length away. But one of my clients this week who I was talking to about her chart has a Leo North Node, and she spent most of her life judging other people for being too narcissistic or like having a complex about that. And people that are kind of too center stage or too egotistical or hogging the limelight. And when she realized that she like wanted more of that in her own life, she had like this shame feeling surrounding that. Like, oh, I want that, but I've always judged people who have that. So like, it's this kind of ick feeling of shame. And I also, like in my own chart, I have a Gemini North Node, and I have, if I'm being honest, I've spent a lot of my life judging other people for being kind of like gossipy and quote unquote petty. I always thought that was like the worst quality, just like, you know, lowest common denominator kind of talking shit people. And I secretly also behind the scenes kind of longed for it, and still do sometimes, for it to be easier for me to feel that sense of connecting with others through a chatty and gossipy and dynamic socializing. So recognizing that I wanted qualities that I had been judging in others kind of made me feel that shame in a deep way. And I think, like, you know, this stages of consciousness fellow David Hawkins says, like, shame is a cry for acceptance. And so that feeling of self-judgment and shame is really just being like, oh, I want to be like accepted in that way. So the reason I bring this up is just to wrap up the week of self-love and say that there is a lot to say about the links between self-love and self-acceptance, self-empowerment, and shame. And so I just thought I'd mention my process with showing myself more love and how I'm doing it as the sun leaves the gate of self-love into the gate of vitality. So it's not an easy road. It's a spiral, right? It's like, it's not a straight line, this healing process of loving ourselves. But I am grateful that there's so many people out there that are putting offerings together that really are just helping people accept themselves for where they are so that they can be with the ground beneath their feet and then start taking steps towards improvement of their own lot, as in whichever way they want to, but not getting caught up in the shame game. So grateful for all of these beautiful offerings that I'm seeing out there in that world. So jumping into the gate of vitality. I welcome you to take a breath. That felt really good. Just an inhale and let your shoulders drop. It's the time of the year where we need to do more of that. Anyway, here we go. Next full gate, the first full gate of Capricorn season, the gate of vitality, is ringing in the holidays, the joy to the world days. And it is, gate of vitality is located in the root center in the human design body graph and is known as the gate of joy. And it embodies a deep drive for improvement and refinement in true Capricorn fashion. And the goal of that improvement and refinement is creating lasting joy in life. And it carries the energy of vitality and persistent enthusiasm to enhance the world. I think that enhancement is a really key phrase for Gate 58. People who have this gate defined often feel a natural pull to correct what is flawed and pursue the betterment of systems and processes and environments. And it's not like in this Virgo kind of style sense of perfection per se, but it's like because there's a deep joy and satisfaction in the act of process. So again, like if you want to own that Capricorn part of yourself, yes, please do it. Don't think that like you have to be still and resting in this time of winter, because that's not the only way to do winter. It's easy to look around and like see the bare branches and be like, oh, that tree's kind of like pointing that way. Or, like you can see the skeletons, which is also the part of the body that Capricorn rules. You can see the bones of things this time of year. With all of the foliage shed to the ground becoming compost, we can see the bones of the world and say, hey, what at this most fundamental level of these bones do we want to work on improving and refining and enhancing? So it's a beautiful, beautiful process. And I definitely know a good number of people with this gate active, and there's either their sun here or their unconscious sun. My mom, I think, has her unconscious sun here. I love to look at, again, how people I know have activations and kind of see how that shows up. And I do see that people with Gate 58 that I know really love the process of improving things around them. And it's beautiful. They're so good at it, just like tweaking a little thing here and there and making it better. And it's not like out of a sense of duty per se, but more of a sense of like truly finding that inner joy in doing so. And that's really cool. I wish I had this gate, honestly. Sometimes, like, wish I could, just like keep improving things a little bit more for the sake of satisfaction. But another thing about Gate 58 is it's part of the collective logic circuit in the human design body graph. And this means that its energy is geared towards creating logical structures and systems that serve the greater good. And there's a certain restlessness of this gate, which is tied to its root center pressure. In the body graph, we have the root center is the very bottom center in the chakra system, and it creates a certain pressure to like be doing something. And the head center is also a pressure center, which is like the pressure to figure things out. So this is a root center gate, as a lot of gates in Capricorn season are. So we're in this root pressure time of year to like just move our bodies and like stay alive. It's like cold outside, got to keep moving. So with this gate active, with the sun transiting through it, we all have it active in our charts. So I would encourage you this week to take action to bring balance and bring vitality into your life. It's really like, it is like keep it moving, keep your vital systems healthy by like staying alert, staying alive, and keeping on. From the perspective of the I Ching, Gate 58 corresponds to hexagram 58, which is known as the joyous or joyfulness. And this hexagram is composed of 2 trigrams of lake stacked on top of one another. And that represents an overflowing abundance of energy and the power of joyful self-expression. So lake is the hexagram in the I Ching that symbolizes a reflective and harmonious space. And the double lake structure really amplifies the qualities of clarity and openness and connection through this double lake. Hexagram 58 in the I Ching also highlights the importance of sharing joy and collaborating to spread vitality, all while ensuring a stable foundation for growth. So the energy with lake over lake is contagious, and it inspires others to take part in uplifting and improving the collective experience. So enhancement, refinement. If we look at the trigrams in hexagram 58 to give a little more depth, you can see that the lower trigram always represents kind of our inner processes, whereas the upper trigram represents an external, kind of like an external environment and conditions. So with both being lake, it kind of starts with an inner lake symbolizing an inner wellspring of inspiration and joy and contentedness. And with the upper trigram also being lake, it symbolizes the joy rising to the surface from your inner lake into the outer world and being shared with others through the process of inspiration. And again, the people I know at this gate really do have, when they're in their best, not their best, but when they're in their most kind of like aligned state with themselves and self-accepting state, they do have a certain amount of like just desire to enhance the world. And then that is so contagious and it spreads because you see them doing things that are making the world a better place. And you're like, I could do that. I could do that too. So it's a beautiful thing. And they really thrive. And we can all really thrive over the course of this week by internally cultivating our joy first as much as possible, and our vitality and our liveliness and our livelihood, and then sharing it outwardly through interactions and collaborations and the inspirational shared pursuit of improvement upon systems. If we look at the gene keys, Gate 58 explores the spectrum of energies through the shadow of dissatisfaction, the gift of vitality, and the city of bliss. And dissatisfaction at the shadow frequency of this gate makes a lot of sense because it shows that it's kind of that urge to improve things. If you're dissatisfied with a certain situation, you will have the urge to improve it. And when you get stuck in that place, though, it's when there's just like a nagging dissatisfaction with life and the sense that nothing is ever good enough. So that can be a tough place to get trapped in, right? But it can also act as a catalyst for evolution when it's channeled correctly. And at the gift level, vitality shines through as the drive to improve systems and relationships and ourselves because of the sheer love of life. At the transcendent city level of bliss, the energy kind of transcends all dissatisfaction and embodies a state of radiant joy that uplifts not only the individual, but also everyone that they touch. And so, yeah, if you're feeling dissatisfied with a lot of things, it's just like tap into that inner wellspring of what it is that brings you joy. And if that is just putting things in order or like working to make things better, yeah, go for it, because it will spread and it will carry out in the way that a beautiful lake can feed into other lakes and just make a beautiful, beautiful place. So with all of its expressions, Gate 58 reminds us that life's beauty lies in its imperfections and the journey toward refinement. It carries the pulse of joy through the art of living with purpose, a drive for betterment, and the bliss of being fully alive. There's a quote from iFeet, the I Ching website, one I Ching website that I like, that says, "True joy rests on firmness and strength within. It requires a gentleness and faith. Share wisdom and understanding with your friends. Remember that joy isn't something you find, it's something you create." So in the spirit of the Gate of Joy and the approaching year of the Hermit Wood Snake, remember that your gift to the collective is ultimately based on the deep work and the deep play and the deep self-acceptance that you do with yourself. The vitality that you cultivate within you is truly contagious to others, but your inner lake must always be filled before it can spill over into the external waterways that surround you. It's just, I find this so often to be true in my life. You can't pour from an empty cup. It's just so true. When you really feel yourself filling your cup back up again after a period of empty cup life, like, it's so obvious. You're just like, oh, I put a few more drops in my cup and I'm just like, I'm ready to go. So fill your own cup and watch it spill over as we enter this new year. And I'm wishing you all a joyous and beautiful holiday season, however you're choosing to celebrate this final week of 2024. Joy to the world, and heaven and nature sing. And I will see you next week to ring in the new year and get ourselves into that gate of the fighter to start off 2025. If you get any value from these weekly labors of love, I'd truly appreciate if you shared this episode with someone you think would resonate, or give a 5-star review on Spotify or Apple Music, or my favorite, subscribing to the Substack at astrosomatics.substack.com, because that way you get to participate in the comments and conversations and see the pretty pictures that I put together. And again, it's free. You can become a paid subscriber if you're feeling extra generous and want to give me a tip to buy a coffee kind of thing. But it is, all of the writings and transmissions at this moment in time are free and ready to be shared. So you can also follow me on Instagram at Cycles of Time Podcast and Astrosomatics. And yeah, I'd love to hear from you how you are celebrating this time of year, the self-love and joy time of year. So drop me a line in the comments and I'll talk to you again soon. Happy holidays.